Hi, it's Gadget UK here again. This time something Sega related behind the My Mate Vince mug there. So my Mega Drive, I'll show you what this is doing. There's a couple of issues with this, and I think maybe it's to do with the region switch. So I can switch, there's a switch on the back, a physical switch between English 50Hz, English 60Hz, so that's US, and Japanese 60Hz. And I can't help but wonder if it's because we're using the standard PAL, the crystal shipped with these PAL units there, and it's doing the divisions slightly inaccurately, which means you end up with, well, a not accurate 60Hz reference signal, if you see what I mean. All will become clear if I switch the monitor on. And I only noticed this problem on the monitor, but there's a second issue that I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, and it was thanks to Andrew Littleboy that I've actually been able to connect my Mega Drive up, because we've got 3 power supplies there, one for the 32X Mega Drive and the Mega CD. Hang on, switch the Mega Drive on. And I've got no display, so I need to change the input here, and I forget exactly. Oh, there we go, that's it. Hit it first time. See this up here? Ignore the crackling sound, that's another issue with that Mega Drive. But the video distorts up here. Now if I switch that off, and I switch the Mega Drive, switch over, it's on the left now, I think that's PAL. No, it's not. It's that NTSC. Let's go all the way right. This is PAL. Perfect. Yeah, it's only when you're in either of the 60Hz modes, yeah, that you get this distortion here. So I don't know. I think we start by fitting the dual frequency oscillator. So it's a little component to show you. You put it in place of the crystal, and then we need to connect a wire up somewhere that'll switch it over. And that's going to be the tricky part, working out where to put that. So I bought this mod from the Consoles Unleashed website. It was thanks to SLR that I became aware of these guys. You can see the website here. You can buy this mod for around £15 mark, plus obviously some shipping, which I think is really good value. Obviously it's a small PCB, but I think that's really good value. And they also sell various other mods for all sorts of different, 8 to 16-bit consoles and things. So it's well worth checking out the website. But if you look at the top of this page here, the guide, it shows you the differences there in the crystal speed between the PAL and NTSC systems. But ultimately it's the CPU gets a slightly different, as you can see, clock speed based on that master crystal there. And the subcarrier is affected by that as well. Basically, video timing. And of course, if your CPU's not as fast as it should be, or faster than it should be, you're going to get some small glitches as well, and that's going to translate into some issues with timing of the VDP, etc. So I think that hopefully this DFO will fix my problem. I don't know, I've not read that, I've not seen anybody else with this problem, and I only became aware of this problem when using it on the 1084S here. It's looking a bit dirty and dusty there, isn't it? So let me get the screws out of the underside. I'm just going to put something soft on the bench so that I don't scratch this further. Yeah, so we've got a physical switch here, and that label needs redoing, it's hanging on. And this, I'd forgotten about that. It's this whole reset, change Mega CD region. So that was a mod I did using, I forget what, a pick I think I used a pick chip. We'll have a look at that. I can't remember what that is now. I don't think it's in here, I think it's in the actual Sega CD bit. Anyway, let's just get the 6 screws on the underside. We also need to unscrew this thing here. So we've got 1 or 2, I think maybe 1 screw here. It just holds this plate on, it just extends the ground. It's interesting. And then we've got just this up here. Yeah, I think every time I've been in with this confused me here. The LED legs come up through the connector there and are bent outwards, so if you wanted to disconnect this you need to straighten up the legs and then just pull it off, but then you need to, these might break off. So yeah, it's a bit of a funny one that, and of course it's just soldered on down here. So anyway, I think we'll just put it on the bench like that, just leave the lid there, just kind of rotate that round a bit. Yeah, so you can see I've got an audio connector glued in down here. That's going to be an interesting thing with the shield now. So that's going to need redoing. And let's get the screws out that hold the shielding in. So there are several of these screws all the way around the shield here. These ones are short, so I'm going to move the other ones out of the way. And we need to do the ones that are under this heatsink here as well, because that holds the motherboard in ultimately. I think it just holds the heatsink down. Those ones are longer again. say with a certainty, a wire-free mod is better, but bear in mind the complexity I've got is I've done my own wire-free mod for the region of the Mega CD. So at some point I may do away with the switch and do another wireless mod in here that does the Mega Drive as well as the CD. But at least at the moment I've got the best of both worlds where I can switch them independently of each other. So I can run this in PAL and have the Sega CD in US if I wanted to, region 3 that is. But that might cause you some timing differences or some timing issues. So I've got another screw down there that I just spotted, which is going to be holding that in as well. And I think this is a VA4. Let's just get the wrist strap on. Do you know, it's funny the things you forget. I've been in these so many times in the past. There must be another screw somewhere that I've not seen. Oh, there's these two here that, you know, go through the wings on the connector. Also need to lift this up here and carefully just try and get the motherboard out. Yeah, there is one under here. God damn it. Right, so carefully lifting this up and that as well, the power thing out of there. Let's just get rid of this bottom piece. Just going to rotate this around this way here. So I'm still connected to the LED over there. I don't want to disconnect it. So there's our main crystal there, 53 point something megahertz. The NTSC units will have a different frequency there. So I just need to just put this down. There's the solder points we need to deal with there. This has had a mod, I think, to do with stability on the Sega 32X. I think it was that. It might not be. There were one or two components you remove and you had a cap somewhere. And anyway, that seemed to give me stability with the 32X. So I need to desolder those 4 points there, and then simply get this little PCB on, which I can't get home. So I've got a couple of jumpers, have we? Oh, these are for the legs, I think. So you get 3 little single pins here, just to act as legs for this device. So yeah, I'll do this next bit on the microscope. Right, there we are on Cavernous Cam, so if I get that nice and straight. So you can see we've got a 27 megahertz crystal there, I think, haven't we? Looks like it. And that little IC, which is marked CDCE913 CT-X0, it's got 28 kg4, some sort of revision or something. I don't know what these are down here. Yeah, so there are a few things I'm not sure about here, maybe transistors. Another one up there, look. There could be some logic on there as well. But nevertheless, the SO pad here, depending on whether you feed or high or low in there, on the clock pin, which is there, you get the exact frequency you need for PAL. In our case here, it's going to be the same as the crystal we've got on there now. But when it's in an NTSC, it'll put, you know, a different frequency there. So that's the idea. And this SO, wherever it is, hang on. Yeah, this SO pad here, we just need to work out where to join it on the board so that it's switched into the right frequency at the right time. So anyway, first thing to do is get these legs here. I'm just looking at these. They're the same length on either side, but it's got this little standoff bit, look. Yeah, so you kind of like, if you're not careful, you could couple it to the ground. Although there's a big ring around it, so I think that'll be alright. And the 5V one down here. It's a similar thing that when that's totally flat, yeah, that'll be alright. So I'll put all 3 of those on. Right, so all 3 of those soldered on, and they're fairly straight. I'm not going to fit a socket or anything, I'm just going to go for it and solder this straight in. I marked where pin 1 was under this crystal there on the PCB. So let's just start this part here by adding some solder to the 4 points. And then I'm just going to use the desolder pump here, so I'll heat one of these first. Hang on. Just get the plug out the end of the desolder pump. Just give that one more go there. Double-sided boards these, so you can argue use a bit of desolder braid if you're not getting anywhere. But well, I think we're almost there. Yeah, it still feels like we've got some solder on a few of these pins here. Namely the ground, I think, and VCC. If I just inspect those, and that bottom left one, I'm not very well freed. So at this point, and again, you shouldn't really be working on plastic like I'm doing here. You can introduce some ESD just by virtue of doing that. I'm just going to heat here because that pin, there we go, it's coming out now. Yeah, that pin wasn't free, and now it's this one. Starts free, there we go. Wow, that was hard to get off. Yeah, that was really hard to get that ground to free up. Yeah, and why that was quite hard is there's an entire ground plane all round here connected to that pin. So yeah, whilst these here look free, that one ain't. So yeah, I'm going to try and desolder from the top side here now. I'm going to add a bit of solder there like that. And I'm going to try and remove that with the solder pump. There we go. I think that may have done it. I sort of see a hole. Yeah, that looks like that's done that there. So I'll clean around with cotton buds on this side here. And now I need to go work out which side is which here. And, well, looking at ground, our ground's down here. It's got to be here, so it's got to go like that way up. So, yeah, and these pins may be slightly misaligned from when we soldered them onto the PCB, you know, because they don't always go perfectly straight. I can always just bend them slightly, but I mean, they look fairly straight to me. I think at some point, not right now, I'm going to make that LED detachable for the thing down there. Just because, well, it annoys the heck out of me when I'm coming in this, try and work on it. Although I don't really envisage doing lots of work to this in future, really. Yeah, so there is a bit of flux from manufacture on the PCBs themselves. So I'm not going to go crazy, I'm just going to clean around the crystal. So I just need to try and get this on now, with our ground bottom right. And there we go, that went straight on. No issues at all there. Yeah, if you can sort of just bend your solder so it stays approximately where you want it, then you can just add some like that. That's it. That's one. But heating briefly sort of ensures you don't put too much heat in and heat the pin on the other side, if you see what I mean. Because, you know, it's soldered on both ends, isn't it? So, solder in place, heat into place. Like that. That's just give that one another go. That one, another go. And that one, another go. That should be it. So let's just carefully lift that up. Yeah, there's our little mod. Yeah, it looks a bit uneven. Yeah, it's pretty level now. So the only other thing I need to do, other than inspect from the top side here, and potentially just add a bit of a reflow on those 3 points on the top. You see that? That's just awful. I need to get a piece of wire now and connect it from S0 to somewhere down here. Now I think the way I'm going to try and work this out, if I'd been thinking ahead I should have tested this before we started, to work out where do we get a high here and where do we get a low here when it's switching. But we might be able to tell in terms of how this switch is arranged. So if I test from, say, a ground somewhere, you know, like on the shield, yeah, continuity test, let's test up here. Yeah, so we've got a ground on the centre point of the switch there. I can test that. If I go to the centre point and test to the ground, dead sure. So we know that it's switching either of these two things here to ground. Because what's going to be happening is like you're either having the first one over here, either high or ground, high or low, yeah, or the one on the right, high or low. We need it so that when it's in the PAL, it's set to, I don't know, let's say for argument's sake low, and when it's an NTSC, it's high. What I might have to do is borrow the signal from somewhere else, like the video encoder maybe, because there might be a signal that goes to that to say, is it NTSC, is it PAL? Then again, I'm not sure that switch down there switches the other thing, so I don't know. I'll report back in a minute. I need to go Google that and check the notes that I got with this. Now I've got my region switch connected up in a weird way here. So it's like the switch goes between, you know, that's the ground there. So this point here, this is the video section. These two are joined together. So it's either high, which I think it must have an internal pull-up somewhere, or low through the switch. But when you open that, then it goes high because this is not connected here. And instead, this ground gets connected over here. And vice versa happens, you know. Default, I think you've got to pull up on this pin here, unless you feed ground to it. And that's the language one. So like my switch, it's a three-way switch. It goes, English is this side short here. Middle position, nothing here is connected, which means we have a pull-up and a pull-up, yeah? And I think that means US, yeah? So it's still in English, but it's at NTSC, because this is high. And then the third position is, this then becomes low, which switches it into Japanese, I think. And this is still high because of the pull-up. It's just a question of, and this is what we don't know the answer to, Consoles Unleashed just did say that to me. He says, try and connect it to VA4, J4, whatever it is here, not VA4, it's a VA4 board. Try and connect it down here, but he doesn't know whether it's going to work or not, which is an interesting one. You think someone would have tested it. Yeah, I felt it was worth explaining here how my switch currently works in really simple terms. You can see the image here from Consoles Unleashed website. Go check them out, the mods are amazing. I will buy another one of these at some point with some other mods and cover those in a future video or two. But my switch is a three-way switch. On the left-hand position, it basically pulls JP3 and JP4 to ground, yeah? So when you've got a ground on those first two pads, it puts it in PAL mode. When the switch is open, e.g. in the middle position, it floats, and the Megadrive is happy with that. That works to toggle it into the other mode, which puts it in NTSC. So those first pads there, JP3, JP4, is either 50 Hz if it's grounded, or NTSC, you know, 60 Hz if it's open or floating, that is, you know, so you've got nothing going to it. And that's what we have when it's in the middle position. And in the right hand position, the other two pads come into account here. JP1, JP2. Those ones, if you've got a ground there, e.g. when my switch is in the right position, it puts the language into Japanese. When you've not got a connection there, e.g. it's floating, it puts it into English. So hopefully that makes sense with the three different positions. I've put them in a little table there so you can see. That's how my switch works. But this mod we're fitting here, the SO pad needs to connect somewhere that's going to toggle between high or low to switch it between 50 Hz or 60 Hz, you know, e.g., you know, the two different clock speeds ultimately. Melting all these wires any minute it's happening, isn't it? I'm sure. Let's try and get iron down there. Oh, come on. That wire's going to come off because this one's going to heat up. That's it. And let's now just try and dangerously join this wiring down here. Hang on. Come on, melt. There we go. So we just need to route that to that S0 pad. The main thing is, I didn't touch these wires here, thank God. So we've just got to give it a try like that now, I think, and see whether it works or not. I will just have a bit of a clean up with a cotton bud and some IPA, just see if we can clean up the top of those solder points there on the DFO. I think we just need to reassemble it and give it a try. Right, so it's precariously bodged on top of the Mega CD, not connected to the Mega CD, but I need the 32X because the video cable I've got comes out of the 32X. Anyway, yeah, we're not quite there, but we're sort of half there. If I switch it on, it's in the PAL position at the moment. Video looks perfect, nice and tidy, no issues. Hit start, I've got Golden X selected here. Sounds the correct speed. Yep, so we're just PAL, everything's PAL. Let's just start. Looks alright, doesn't it? Yep. Yeah, just as I remember it, everything's fine there. Switch it off. In fact, don't even switch it off, I could switch that switch over. Switch is the middle position. See that? There's an issue. And the other position, same issue. Switching it back to first position is okay. I would suggest the main clock is glitching out there. The fact it's working at all shows us that the actual clock for PAL is certainly right. It's when you switch it to the other two positions, it's just flitted out, and I think it's because it's like getting a clock, not a clock, getting a clock, not a clock, getting a clock, not a clock, if you see what I mean. I actually think we need a pull-up there, so I'm going to take it back over to the bench. And I'm going to try a 10k pull-up here, so got some 10k resistors. Yeah, I just don't know if this is going to solve the problem or not, to be honest. It is, yeah, a bit of guesswork, speculative guesswork. I did have a quick look at the schematics to remind myself of how things here are laid out. And yeah, there must be like a weak internal pull-up there, but it's not enough to actually trick this into actually doing the switch, if you see what I mean. So when this is open circuit, this jumper, the Megadrive's alright, the Megadrive knows what to do, but this here is like, yeah, you're in PAL, no you're not, you're in PAL, no you're not, you're in PAL. What it's not doing is you're in PAL, and then you're into NTSC. If it was going PAL, NTSC, PAL, NTSC, in fact it could have been doing that, it could have been just floating between the two. But there was no evidence of that in terms of the sound, I don't think. If anything, it sounded like just slowed down a wee bit when the video went weird, which makes me think it just needs a pull-up down here, so hang on. We've just got to measure around on my multimeter now. It's the two nearest the right side now, because I've got the board the opposite way around. So at the moment we've got ground, hang on, got ground going there and going there. Yeah, we need a pull-up going to that same point. 10k might be a bit too low, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe 22k would be better. You could do the maths, you know, it's one of those things, you could do the maths and work it out. Like what sort of logic level you're going to get between 10k and ground, and of course it's going to put some load on the thing. But I mean, this is the way pull-ups work generally. Like when the switch is not in ground, all will be happening is this will be providing 5 volts to that jumper. Of course, it's going to be a bit tight trying to feed this in here now. I've got that much stuff going on. I'm certainly going to need to use the microscope. I'm going to have to go. Hang on, I've got to try and find where 5 volts is on here now. There are some 5 volt positions, without a doubt. There's no 7/4 series to measure from, is there? Those two are together. Oh, and those two are together. Yeah, so those centre 2 pads there appear to be 5 volts, I think. Yeah, the outer ones are ground, the inner ones are 5 volts. So I think we need a jumper between one of these here, sorry, resistor between one of these here and that right green wire there. Yeah, so will my Megadrive ever work again? I don't know. I'm pretty nervous, to be honest. It's a long time since I tinkered with the Megadrive, and well, I don't know, I just got this bad feeling about this. Anyway, let's just tin up the legs on this. You know, had a bit of solder and flux at the point of the end. And yeah, it's there's so many easier ways or cleaner ways and tidier ways I could do this, but well, I'm just trying to bodge it in really. So today on Bodge It UK, we're going to join that up there to the 5 volts. So that pad is 5 volts, and then I'm going to just ow. So let's just check if those things are still in place. Yeah, so the jumper point here is going to have 10k pull-up as default, but then when the switch is to the right, you get the ground there, and it's fighting against the 10k, isn't it? So it should pull the logic level fairly low. It's just whether it's low enough is the point. Right, here we are, bodge testing again. So powered it on, it's not exploded. Let's press start. See what's happening. I think it's in PAL at the moment. Looks good. So I'll reach over, press switch into the middle position. Hang on. Oh, it's alright now. Is that faster? Yeah, it is. And in the far position, that's Japanese, US, PAL. So I think that's it. We've just got to try and test something where it's more noticeable. Let's try Sonic the Hedgehog maybe. World as a world. I think that'll work in any region, won't it? So that's PAL, middle position, NTSC, got some artifacts in there along the top. Yeah, that don't look right to me. Just hit. Yeah, reset's not working either. Not sure why reset's not working just now. Let's just try it again, booting it that way. Switching it over might have been the problem. Yeah, we've not got the artifact in now, and that's at 60 Hz. Yeah, I think that sounds a bit faster as well. Oh, it's in demo. That's me trying to control it. Let's just hit start. The main thing is we don't have this thing here. Right, let's switch it into Japanese, I think. Hang on. And try, well, a Japanese ROM. Yeah, there we go. Japanese md.bin. See what happens. In theory, it should be Japanese language, and it should be NTSC. Yeah, I think that's sorted. I think I just need to reassemble it and test it for a bit. So many cool games on the Megadrive. Yeah, so that kind of concludes the mod really. I can now start to screw things back in here. There were some screws, obviously, like the ones down here that I can get back in place before we get the shield on. And yeah, this is where I honestly can't remember what was long, what was short now. I think these were long ones, let's just see. Right, so quite uneventful getting it back together. It was really easy to get that back together. The hardest thing was working out which were the long screws, which were the short screws. And I actually think I put some of the long screws into the short screw holes, ones where they're not protruding, you know, like, I don't know, there was one through the shield, for example. The top part of the shield. Let's get that plate back on now. But we are there, I think. So, I forget how this goes on there. The screw hole is down there. Goes like that into these two things and then goes, hang on, over the top of that, like that, and then that screws in. I tell you what, let's just take advantage of the fact that it's out at the moment, get some polish on it, and just have a bit of a quick clean here. Right, there we go. That's not bad. Gonna go connect that back up and let's have a play. Right, we're all connected up. Switch it on. I think maybe it's on NTSC. Let's see. Let's just do start CD because we left that in PAL, didn't we? Yeah, there we go. This is a PAL CCAM compatible Mega CD. So if I switch it off, I'm gonna switch the switch all the way over to the other far side. Hang on. That's it. Switch it on. Hopefully it will now boot the CD, because I haven't got the region 3 BIOS there, it's just PAL. Yay! So that's working. So what I want to do now is switch the CD into region 3 US, which is purple. So that one's like yellow, that one's, I forget which one that is, but that's the next one. I'm going to keep going. That's blue, and I think it's this next one. I think that one's US is blue. Purple, that's region 3 NTSC. Now I might need to reboot the whole lot here, but when you do that, I don't know, let's try run CD. It might need a reset. But you can see that loaded, and if I start this, I'm sure it'll probably work. I'll be very surprised if it doesn't. Can you skip this? Yes, hit start. see if it'll actually start. We should get the, you know, car zooming along and the scaling and all that. There we go, B. Not sure if you've got limited bullets there. Yeah, stop pressing B then. But you can see it's working. There we go, Streets of Rage. World, top one. Select start. Right, I'm going to switch that over if I can find the switch. Oh, hang on a minute, that problem's back again. And it's slowed down. Let's hit reset, let's do start. Maybe I can't switch in real time. Yeah, we've got... How have we got that? I shouldn't be having that language. What is going on there? Let's hit reset again. I'm confused. So it's like the language switch. Mind you, it was in Japanese there, so that would make sense. Now it's not. Now it's in US English. Yeah, that's alright. It's just me confusing myself. I do have a Japanese switch, just for the purpose of actually seeing the Japanese language there, you know, kanji. So, does that sound 60 Hz? Yeah, I think it does. I actually don't think you can tell. I don't think you can hear a difference. You probably need to be playing a PAL game or something that's coded for PAL in NTSC to hear a difference in speed. I actually think if you watch Streets of Rage played in the US versus in the UK, it sounds the same. It's not like they had 10% or whatever, you know, percent faster music. They didn't. They had a higher frame rate. So yeah, you could confuse yourself if you're trying to listen for, you know, visible audio differences when you're actually switching the system between 50 and 60 Hz for games that actually identify the right, you know, that region, if you see what I mean, the speed difference there. That's working though, isn't it? Sounds and looks perfect. We don't have this crazy bar at the top. Yeah, just testing 32X stuff here. It seems to be working, doesn't it? Fantastic. Start button. I love the 32X so much. I wish there were more games for it. It was so cool. It's like half a Megadrive, half a Saturn, really. I forget what the 5 buttons are there. Hang on, that's that one. C for the machine gun. You can tell it's a while since I played this. Another amazing port. I wish they'd done Outrun. Even some of the older games like Enduro Racer. I would have loved to have seen that on here. Went straight into that. Yeah, so all working perfectly. I'll just show you on 1 or 2 games here. The flickering might not be as noticeable now I'm not filming from a crazy angle at the side. And it's a bit brighter. I played with the brightness and contrast earlier. It's probably a bit too bright, actually. Anyway, sounds perfect, and it doesn't matter what mode you're in. I'm in 60 Hz at the moment, I think. But I don't have this band, you know, this thing here, this like striation or whatever it is. It's something to do with the, obviously the sync. The sync was just not being handled properly, the frequency it was at, which is a bit of a weird one, isn't it? You kind of, hang on, I'm trying to do that. That's a chop. Yeah, you kind of wouldn't expect that. And I didn't get that on the HD TV, yeah, you know, my LCD TV. Didn't have that issue. It was only when I came to use it on the monitor here that I had the issue, and it was like kind of taking offence to the sync being a bit oddball. And of course, you know, it's not just the sync. It's like if you've not got the right CPU clock speed, your sync's timing is going to be slightly different as well. But it isn't just about the sync. The frequency of the RGB is different as well. I mean, that obviously in relation to the sync is the point. So don't be under the illusion that if you use an Everdrive, where the Everdrive will let you play games from any region, and you may think, oh, that's it, you don't need to region mod it, yeah? But if your system's set to, you know, there's jumpers to have the system in PAL, what it's doing is dividing the CPU clock and the subcarrier by a certain number of divisions there to get, you know, your CPU speed and stuff. So things can run slower or faster, depending on, you know, the region of the game, is the point. And you may get some slight glitches. In my case, I was having problems with the 1084S. So a dual frequency oscillator mod like this, you know, DFO, is just perfect, really. It's ideal. It gives you proper, you know, dual region without any incompatibilities. So yeah, I'm very, very, very pleased. Check out Consoles Unleashed below. The video is not sponsored, I bought that mod, but yeah, I'll buy one or two more because, well, I quite like the mods. They do some good work there. So I hope you found that video interesting. I'll catch you in the next video. We'll be looking back at the Sega CD soon. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one.